Hey guys, it's Tyler with 3D Printing Basics. I just wanted to let you know if you are interested in hearing this episode ad-free with no fluff, no nothing, just the information that you're looking for, please check me out on my Patreon page. I'm going to drop a link down in the show notes below. Again, if you want to listen to this episode with no ads and all my other episodes with no ads, please be sure to check out my Patreon page. It would really help support me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hello, and welcome to 3D Printing Basics. This is episode number 24, and in this episode, I am finally going to talk about kind of the first episode about my experience with the Ender 3. I finally got it out of the box, I have it assembled, and I made my first print on it, and I'm going to talk about that today. Before we get started, I would like to mention if you are interested in finding out more and kind of getting the behind the scenes about the Creality Ender 3 experience and journey with me, I am posting on my Instagram. The Instagram is 3D Printing Squared, SQUARED. I will also leave a link down in the description. Second off, I should mention that we are almost at 100 5-star reviews. We are super, super close. And once we hit 100 5-star reviews, we are going to be giving away a Sovol SVO6 to one of my lucky listeners. So I couldn't be more thankful for all the support that you guys have given me. I just checked, we're at 81 5-star reviews on Spotify, so we're super close, and I really appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. Once we get to 100, one of you guys is getting a printer, so let's keep adding those 5-star reviews, and I appreciate all of you for leaving a review. The last thing I'm going to mention before we jump into the video is about the Echo. Yes, the Echo is still around for this episode. I apologize for it. I'm still getting moved into my office. I have soundboards on the way. Hopefully that's going to help. And yeah, hopefully this is going to be the last episode that you have to deal with the Echo. But once again, I'm sorry.
ABC Wednesday.
Y'all complain all day. We want books. We want paper towels in the classroom. Bet you want raises too.
I'm still waiting on the paper towels.
Abbott Elementary returns with the new season.
We asked the district for more after-school programs. They gave us $50 for class pets instead.
Critics cheer. Abbott Elementary continues to be one of the funniest and most beloved shows on TV.
What y'all doing out there?
Taking bribes.
Proud of y'all.
Abbott Elementary. Season premiere Wednesday, 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
All right, let's jump right into it. So, first thing I did with this Ender 3 after it got delivered was it sat around for probably a week or two. The reason was because I'm just super busy. I'm in the middle of moving into an office, so I just didn't have the time to dedicate to building one. But once I finally got to it, I was able to bring it to the new office and I unboxed it and started building it. And my very first thoughts was, wow, this thing is a pain to build. Coming from somebody who for the last, I'd say 2 years, starting with the Prusa i3 MKS Pluses, I only got fully assembled printers that just came out of the box and started working immediately. I was not a huge fan of how much assembly you had to do on this printer. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't an unreal amount of work. It was a solid hour, maybe 2 hours of assembly time that I split up over 2 days. But at the end of the day, when you're paying this little amount of money for this cheap of a 3D printer, I understand that the way they probably cut costs was to ship it in pieces so that you could do all the work and they could cut labor costs. But like, man, I mean, with how many printers come out fully assembled these days, I just don't think there's any excuse for Creality to be making a printer that cheap and not having it come fully assembled. So after I got it fully assembled, it wasn't crazy hard. I would say the hardest part was probably squaring up the frame because I had to get a combination square and make sure everything was all square and all good. And I was also, just a little side note, I was absolutely blown away that it ships with 4 paper clips for holding the bed, the PEI bed sheet on the bed. And that's just crazy to me that a company as big as Creality, who ships millions of 3D printers per year, ships 4 paper clips with their printers for keeping the bed on. At that point, I think you could do something, just a couple little plastic parts for stops that could let you line up the bed like Bamboo has. I can't believe that a company as big as Creality is still shipping paper clips. When I saw that, I just imagined a box, like a huge box with just like 100 million paper clips that Creality uses that when they send out their 3D printers. So that was just a crazy little side note. And I definitely posted some updates of how the build was going on my Instagram story. And overall, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, difficulty was probably a 3 out of 10. It wasn't very difficult. With how tedious it was, granted for me, I'm a little biased because I really don't like building 3D printers. I know there are some people out there who enjoy building them because they get to know the ins and outs of their 3D printers and they like modding them. But as I've said before on this podcast, I do not like building printers. I don't like modding printers. I like printers that come out of the box and work immediately. So this was kind of worst case scenario for me, was this Creality that shipped in pieces. But at the end of the day, I know it sounds like I'm complaining a lot. It really wasn't too bad. The thing that I'm concerned with was when I had to do the bed leveling, I was able to eyeball it without like a piece of paper and kind of guessing, just not guessing because I know, but just seeing how close it got to the bed and saying like, that looks good to me. And I managed to nail the first layer on the first try. But I sincerely doubt that with this Creality Ender 3, a lot of people who are buying this, it's going to be their first printer and they're not going to know exactly where everything goes. They're not going to know exactly how to level the bed. And so that kind of makes me nervous about how much people are going to be able to assemble this without running into problems like, oh, I've never done this before, and I don't understand how to level a bed, and creating problems right off the bat, because it's really, really easy to misalign the bed on this thing and be able to just ram that nozzle right into the bed. And it ships with a textured PEI sheet now, so that almost acts like sandpaper and could grind down your nozzle and ruin it before you even get going with it. So those are a few of the concerns that I had. But overall, some things I liked about it. I do like how everything kind of had its place. There were slots and there were kind of cutouts for everything. And the V wheels came tightened. I didn't have to do any extra adjustments in order to get them. So for those of you who don't know, the V wheels on the printer, they can move so that they can tighten up against the extrusion that they're running on, or the rod or whatever. Normally these things have to be adjusted. If you can see, if you have an Ender 3 and you go shake your bed, if it moves side to side, that means your V wheels need to be tightened or need to be tensioned, or actually it needs to be tightened. That's the correct word. So make sure you're on the lookout for that. But when I slipped these on, both the Y V wheels and the Z V wheels, and also the tool head that is the X V wheels, all of those were tight and had no play in them. So it was super nice that those were able to come correct right out of the factory. And that's something that I really wasn't expecting. I was expecting to have to do a lot of adjustments on this. I was expecting to have to tinker with it for a while. But honestly, once I got it fully assembled, I got it right into printing, and it turned in a great print right off the bat. So let's talk about that print. So when I got it going, I loaded up some blue PLA. I don't even know the brand. It's just a roll that I had from a long time ago. But I loaded it up, and then I loaded it in the machine, and there was one file preloaded onto the SD card, and that was a cat. And for those of you who saw my Instagram story, you saw that it printed out pretty well. I was honestly really happy with the print quality that I got. There were a little bit of strings, but the thing that I was most concerned about, the first layer, was perfect. It was perfect. I couldn't have been more happy with the first layer. And my first thoughts watching it go down was, oh my goodness, this thing is slow. For a guy that's been using Bamboo printers for the past year, and even Prusa MK3s, like, this thing is just so ungodly slow. It's slow as a snail, and I can't get over it. A Benchy on this thing takes an hour and a half, and a Benchy on my Bamboo Labs printer, it takes 20 minutes. I can't believe that Creality is still marketing the Ender 3 when it's just so outdated. It's so 2018, 2017. I just can't believe it. It's just so ungodly slow. And the other thing that annoyed me, and would annoy a lot of people, especially if you are keeping this in your house and not like in the garage, if it's in your office, when it's on, the cooling fan is running all the time. It never stops, ever. And that whine is so annoying to me personally. I just can't believe that they don't have a setting or some kind of G code that kicks that fan on once it starts printing. It's just running all the time, and this noise is just, it bugs me that something that is so popular is outdated, and the G code could be better, and just everything about this could be made better. But it just really bothers me. I know it sounds like I'm hating on this machine and I'm hating on Creality. I think Creality is a great 3D printing company. I can't thank them enough for how much they've done in the 3D printing space, but just I can't believe the things that they've done with the Ender 3 and how it's still marketable. Like it really doesn't make sense to me, especially when the Creality, it's $180, I think, for what I purchased it for. And the Bambu Labs A1 Mini, it's a smaller build volume, but it's $299, and you can get something that's 3 times faster and will get you better print quality. It has a better user interface. The slicer is better. Everything about it is better. So if money's really, really tight, I understand you need to get an Ender 3, and that's totally fine. But if you have $100 extra that you could spare towards a 3D printer, please don't get this Ender 3. I'm begging you, please don't. Creality, please don't come after me. These are my honest opinions. You're wasting your time with an Ender 3. In 2017, 2018, even up to 2020, this was a great machine. I'm really thankful that it was able to bring so many people into the 3D printing space. But at the end of the day, there are just better options out there for not that much more money. And I just really hope that Creality can either come out with a modded version of this. I know they have some upgraded versions, but I hope that they can come out with a clipper version of Ender 3, or just move on to marketing something altogether, because I don't think the Ender 3, I don't think it's good for the 3D printing community for them to keep marketing this machine because of everything that's wrong with it and everything that's outdated about it. Now, with all that being said, I know it was mostly negative, but I did have a positive experience printing with this machine. Yes, it took a while, it was loud, it was noisy, but the print quality that I got off this machine was good. I didn't do anything to it. It's as stock as you can get. It doesn't even have any of the upgrades that you could get on the Ender 3 version 2. It just printed well. It did what it's supposed to do. I can't complain about the print quality. It came out well. So at the end of the day, if you have one of these machines, it's not a piece of junk. It's really not. It's a reliable machine that has worked for years, and that's why it has the reputation that it has. And so I think you still got a good machine, but I'm just saying, if you are in the market for getting another machine or getting your first machine, do not get an Ender 3. Please don't. It just doesn't make sense for you to get, and there are better options out there. And with that being said, I would say that this little rant, I hope it doesn't look like a rant, but it is definitely coming to an end, and I think I'm going to conclude it there. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I'm definitely going to keep making updates about my experience with the Ender 3 because I promised you guys I would. Let me know if you want to see me do some particular stuff to it, like maybe some mods, maybe doing something like that. I would definitely listen to the suggestions that you guys have and continue to make episodes about it. And be sure to follow me on Instagram so that you guys can see the updates firsthand and the behind the scenes. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time. Thank you for all the support, and I'll talk to you next time.